You are listening to the Running Channel podcast with me, Sarah Hartley, my old slow co-host, Rick.
Rick or Andy, which one?
Rick and Andy. And Rick, who's in the corner pressing some buttons. I couldn't think of an insult, so I thought I'd just get them in one.
You know what?
Lumped us both together as just the old people.
Yeah.
It's just ridiculous. But you know what this has made me think about, and I've been thinking about it all week. Are runners actually funny?
Yeah.
So I thought for this week's podcast, I'd come up with a few running jokes.
Oh, excellent. Well, I was going to say that 2 out of the 3 of us are funny.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, the running jokes on this podcast are Rick's outfits, Rick's button pressing.
All right, can
Andy's
I
old.
actually tell? Can I actually tell
Andy's
the jokes?
field.
Sarah
Sorry,
can't do
yeah.
maths.
So why shouldn't you run behind a car?
I don't
Is this
know.
one of those where I say if I don't know, there's a...
You'd be exhausted. Yes.
Okay,
All right.
brilliant.
No.
Yeah.
All right. There's another one. All right. Okay.
I thought I was the
all right,
dad joke.
Oh, all right. Anyway, on the weekend. I noticed that this couple that they split after running a marathon. They'd had a good run though. Oh my gosh.
Tough crowd here, Sarah, isn't it?
Okay.
These are awful,
All right.
mate.
All right. Here comes another. All right. One
These
more.
are awful.
I can't. That was like tumbleweed. All right. One more. Why did the gardener lose the race?
I don't know.
He took the wrong route. No.
Oh my God. So Sarah
I
and I
thought you
think
were
are
going to
both
say
laughing at
something
you.
about like raking it in or something. No.
Yeah,
All right.
my mind went straight to something about hose.
All right. Well, that went well. Anyway, here's another podcast.
That's good for me. Oh, incredible.
Yeah, that was an hour wasted.
Did you
Did
come
you actually
up
think we were
with
going to
them?
laugh at those?
Did you come up with them? Rick, they're quite funny.
Yeah, but I thought they were like...
No.
I thought you got them
I
out
thought
of a
you
running
just
joke book.
Googled.
No.
You did them.
Yeah.
Oh.
Are we rolling?
Yeah.
Good, you get this reaction.
You made them up.
You sound like someone's nana talking to a child. Oh, you're such a
I may
good boy.
have had-
You're such a good
I may
boy.
have had some help. I may have had a little bit of help.
From
Elizabeth.
your newborn or your 3-year-old?
I may have had a help from a community.
Your children.
Yeah, and
I can't
the World
believe
Wide
you.
Web may have helped point some of them in the right direction.
Oh, he's
Oh,
changed
so
his
you
tune.
have stolen them from the internet.
No, I've developed them.
that's-
I've
he was
developed
bad.
them.
You developed
I've developed
them.
them.
Off
I
mic.
All
developed
of the
them.
names have changed.
Off
Yeah.
mic, there was very much like, oh, that's an hour of my time wasted. I've come up with those
Well,
jokes all on my own.
It was. I pulled them from places. I pulled the themes and then adapted them.
So just claim them for yourselves.
Yeah,
Excellent.
something like that.
Yeah,
Oh.
brilliant. Well, what are we talking about today, Sarah?
Well, this is a very exciting episode because we are coming into the arguably headliners of marathon spring season.
Oh, don't
Or
tell Chicago, New York, and Tokyo.
They're not necessarily all spring.
No, the headlines of spring marathons. Oh, brilliant. I've just jumped in for no reason.
was like, are they straight?
London and Boston coming up all within a week of each other.
Yes.
Which I didn't know they were so tightly packed in.
This is like the equivalent of what's it in the Olympics, like Super Saturday, when it was just all of the finals in the same.
I mean, obviously not like the most important final. Actually, I wasn't in it. Brilliant.
You
Just
just
called myself
gauge
out.
yourself.
Okay.
Anyway, this week's podcast, we are tackling London Marathon, Boston Marathon. If you're running, even if you're not running, we're going to go through what these marathons are, why they're so special, and if you're running, we're going to give you a last few tips.
We're going to try
Tips and
to,
bits
yeah. And
for
actually,
success.
by the time you listen to this very episode, Sarah and I will actually be out in Boston, ready to watch. I'm not running it.
Yep, and I'm stupid enough to be running it the day before.
You're
Well,
actually
that's a
running it, though.
secret. Don't
Oh,
tell
you're
her.
Oh, sorry.
So
No, it's okay.
you're running it the day before. So basically, you're going to be going out and doing the course, Sarah, but you're
Yeah.
going to be dodging people because, none of the fences will be up.
I'm going to get both sides of the fence.
Right.
I'm going to know what they're going through and be able to watch.
Yeah, it's an
Because-
exclusive as well. So like that's a little bit of a sneak peek into a video that's coming out for us.
Yeah,
so
so don't tell anyone if you're listening to this.
yeah. Well,
don't
just
tell
that's
anyone.
just for people on the podcast.
Yeah. If you are listening along to this, or if you're watching this on YouTube right now, go into the comments and put "I know what you don't know," and then we'll know.
Yeah.
Is that
Yeah.
cringe?
If you know, you know.
If you know, you know. If you know, you know. ...
There we go.
But this actually brings me on to I over the last couple of weeks have watched Parkrun, which I've never really done that much before because I'm usually running it or I've run it and then we'll watch and support for a little bit
Yeah.
of the people coming in after. It is hilarious watching people do Parkrun.
I'm waiting for the connection to the marathons.
Oh, because I'll be watching Boston.
Okay, gotcha.
But my mum has always said, so my mum, bless her, comes to, when I go home and do my home park run, she will come and watch it. And she'll always be like, I don't understand why you're putting yourself through this. Because she'll be like, everyone just looks so tired. I just want to tell them to stop and have a sit down. And I finally witnessed it for the first time.
What, witness people putting themselves through it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
As in, like, when you're doing it, you're like, I really want this. You feel super motivated. But then when you're just standing there watching, you know, drinking a hot chocolate with cream and marshmallows,
you're just thinking, why?
Getting the full spectator vibe. I'm like, why?
Well, funnily enough, this is an aside, but my mum used to say a similar thing to me, which is I would talk to her about my training. And she would genuinely be like, oh, just don't work too hard. Don't go too hard. I was like, that's literally the point, Mum.
Such a mum thing.
Because I'd be like, oh yeah, I did a track session the other day and I felt so sick afterwards, or I was sick afterwards, or whatever it was. And I know that's not a healthy thing, but that was lactate related rather than anything else. And she just, I don't want to hear about it, Andrew. Oh, I'm Andrew to my mum as well.
Andrew.
Yeah. We should call him Andrew when he's being naughty.
Which is all of the time.
Quiet,
Total
Andrew.
rebrand to the podcast. But yeah, watching, spectating, as you guys will well know, I've watched plenty of marathons.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to going out and watching. So it's a different experience, and obviously it's quite hard on course to take in very much of the route, particularly in Boston because it's point to point.
Yeah, super exciting. But let's start off. I actually have a little quiz.
We're going to start with a quiz.
Yeah, can we start with a quiz?
Yeah, is it funny?
Play along at home.
No, it's not funny. Although I'd be interested to know whether people actually do think runners are funny, you know, writing aside. But
I think they think we're funny, Sarah. Me and you, that's the 2 out of 3. Yeah.
Quiz time.
Okay, so I have 5 questions from Boston and 5 questions about London.
Yeah.
So
I'm going to be rubbish at this.
Who's going to win, Andy or Rick?
If Andy doesn't win, there's something wrong.
Okay. I mean, I'm not going to lie, I kind of agree with that.
Okay, starting off with a London question.
Okay.
Which brand was the first to sponsor the London Marathon?
Flora.
Oh, we have to press a buzzer.
I wondered what you were doing. I thought you were going, I don't want to answer that question.
No, you have to do a buzzer noise.
Incorrect.
Oh, in fairness.
Although that is a sponsor.
Rick's gone in. Flora did sponsor it throughout the 90s, which is our... I mean, I'm not supposed to talk about how old Rick is on the podcast, so it's our childhood.
Yeah, just hurry up and give your answer.
It's all right. I'm a 90s baby as well.
If it wasn't like someone like View From or something like that.
No, what's that?
Oh, that's like an old apparel maker. I used to have a jacket that had both View From and Flora on it. I've got no idea.
Answer was Gillette.
Oh, no, I did know that because I've seen the branding on the first poster.
Yeah.
Good
Okay,
one.
question number 2. What year did Boston Marathon start awarding prize money?
How could we possibly know these questions?
1992.
No, close though.
Oh.
Go back a bit more.
Okay, 1989.
1986.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, next question. How much money was raised for charities at the London Marathon in October last year? Andy's so annoyed at these questions. I'm not going to ask you, how many miles is a marathon?
That's what I was looking for, is something that I could actually know the answer to.
How much money? That's so hard. I mean, I'm guessing... I'm guessing...
42 million.
42 million.
Ooh, no, 38. Very close.
No, not far.
Okay, easy one. How many people run London Marathon?
Is it 50,000?
I think it's more like 42,000 or something like that.
Yeah, so the official is over 40,000.
Okay.
So it could be 50.
Yeah, well, by that logic, it could be 200,000.
Okay, next one. You've got options here. On which day is Boston Marathon held? A, Independence Day. B, Patriots Day. C, Environment Day. D, Victory Day.
I know this one as well.
Patriots Day.
Yeah!
Yes. It's on
That is
Monday.
1 point to Rick.
Hang on. I didn't get a point. I knew it as well, though.
We got for
No,
the
you
for the
didn't buzz
numbers.
in
For the
quick enough.
numbers.
You're not playing collaboratively as a team.
fine.
This is
Okay.
competitive, Andy. There's only one winner. It's like running.
Okay, I thought the buzzing was just a joke because Rick's the funny man.
No, it's real.
So,
We actually do have buzzers. Next question. Who holds the fastest women's time for London Marathon?
Paula Radcliffe.
Yeah!
Yes.
1-1.
His buzzer's pathetic.
Oh, sorry. I just didn't
You
have
also-
the umph.
You should have had a different buzzer. Rick's
Okay.
already taken What's
Okay.
yours going to be?
I don't know. Bring.
Oh my
That's the first one that came to mind. No? It's like a doorbell.
Literally sounded like a cat.
Bling. Okay, that's Andy's time.
Well, I could just say my name.
Okay.
Next question. In which pub was the first London Marathon planned?
I don't know.
Come on, Rick, you know your pubs.
I just can't remember. It's older than America, the pub.
Oh, yes, and I've had a drink in it as well.
It's have I had a drink in it with you?
Brilliant.
Quite possibly.
It's older than America. We don't know. We're not going to get it.
See, if you both were 20 years younger, that would have been...
Well, I would only be 5, so that would be really bad.
Of course, mate, of course.
It's the Dysart Arms.
The Dysart Arms.
Dysart Arms in Richmond. Okay, couple more. Who won the first Boston Marathon?
The first one?
Yeah.
Oh.
Which
well, we
male won the first Boston
We don't know
Marathon?
when the first Boston Marathon was.
I don't know. Early. It's like
Well,
been
women
going for
weren't
ages.
allowed to run.
Yeah, women didn't run
Seriously?
until 66, 67. Well, actually, they weren't allowed to run then either. That's just when they got in trouble for running.
I've
No
got
idea.
no idea.
John McDermott.
Oh, sounds
We've
like
had a quiz on that before on the running channel, I think, when we were all running on the
really?
treadmill. Or one of the monthly show quizzes.
I mean, that's a hard question.
Yeah.
Full marks to you if you just got that remotely.
Okay, and then last question.
Yeah.
On average, how many spectators come to cheer on the runners every year at Boston Marathon to the nearest 100,000? You're 1-1. This means everything.
Andy.
No, use your buzzer.
Oh, bring.
No, do it in the same.
Bring.
Andy. Sorry, Andrew.
400,000.
Incorrect.
650,000.
No, you're finishing on a tie. It is 500,000. Also,
Oh,
Rick's-
400,000 is closer than 650,000, just by the maths.
Yeah, also Rick, to the nearest 100,000, and you went 650.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he said he's good at jokes,
Yeah,
not maths.
yeah.
Right, sorry, yeah.
I was kind of just looping it around, but anyway, I mean, I'm happy to give it to him.
Because those questions were nonsense. Yeah.
Well, look, we've all learnt something. That's the main thing.
That was good fun. We should, maybe we should do that every week.
Should we do quizzes every week?
Yeah,
Email
that's
us in
really
at
good fun.
podcast@therunningchannel.com. Also, we've had a few questions from people asking this to be longer, so we'd like to get a consensus. So if anyone would like the podcast to be a little bit longer, roughly we aim for about 30 minutes, you should let us know, and we will potentially take that into account, depending on how many people email in.
If just one person gets back and says longer, then maybe not.
Yeah, because otherwise Rick shouts at us for going on too long. The Boston stuff about women made me think of something like this. For anyone that doesn't know, the story about women running in it and how it has been going for a lot longer than the London Marathon. But in 1967, Catherine Switzer became famous for running for the first time, but she'd entered under her initials, so I think she'd entered as K Switzer in order to get through the entry process because only men could enter. And then the race director at the time, who apparently they're now pretty close friends because of this story, but like he tried to run onto the course and get her off. So there's all these iconic photographs from the time of him trying to like pull her off the course, basically.
Wow, I can't imagine. I consider myself so lucky that there are still quite a few barriers to entry with a lot of races for women, but I count myself so lucky that I'm at least allowed to line up on the start line.
Yeah, it's unimaginable to me that could be the case that it wasn't, but that's not, I mean, I suppose it is quite a long time ago, but it's still recent history. That's just crazy. And someone did run it in 1966 called Bobby Gray, was actually the first woman to, I think, run and finish the Boston Marathon, but I don't think she had an official entry because she wasn't allowed to enter. So she hid in a bush beforehand, and then jumped in, and that's my understanding anyway.
One thing that I love about Boston is that for everyone who is running in it, it's quite often this kind of big goal. So you might have heard, if you've run marathons, you might have heard of the term Boston qualifier.
Yeah.
And that is because to get entry into Boston, you need a qualifying time.
You need a BQ.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which are fast. Like for me,
Yeah.
it would be sub 3:30. For a man the same age as me, it's sub 3 hours.
Yeah. They're really tough those times. And that's why it's often people's last of their World Marathon majors that they go after.
Yeah.
If they're trying to complete the kind of 6 stars to be a finisher of all of those majors. So people need to build up to it. And is possible to get an entry in other different routes, but that's the main bulk of it. It's like a sense of pride, I guess, that you've managed to qualify.
Yeah, I think it's really cool as well. Like, obviously, there are lots of marathons where you can just sign up and train and it's inclusive to everyone's pace. But I think if you are someone that's working towards a time, knowing that you've got that to target makes... Because then on the actual day, you can then train again and maybe try and get a PB. Or that's actually a marathon where you've got there through training, hard work, running a PB, and then on the actual day you can just soak it all in.
Yeah, lots of people I know actually go for the experience ultimately because they've put the hard work in to get there, and then on the day it's not a fast course, or dependent on the weather it can sometimes it's not. There's hills and it is tough routes, and definitely a lot of the people there who've not had the perfect run in but are running it because that's their chance to run it. And you don't always get another chance. So
the course as well is, so it wouldn't count if, so this year it's very exciting because Eliud Kipchoge, who's the current world record holder,
greatest of all time.
First man to break sub 2 hours for a marathon. He is running, but if he were to break his own record, it wouldn't count. Is that correct?
Correct. That's my understanding. Yeah.
Point to point, and it's net downhill.
Yeah, because there's a guy Ryan Hall from America who ran a super fast time there. I want to say it was like 2:04 or 2:05, and that didn't count as the American record because of the rules for how they ratify records based on the overall elevation and the proximity of start and finish.
I wonder how that works psychologically if you're building up to that race. I guess you're still going for like, okay, I want to win it.
Yeah.
Because everyone's kind of debating what Kipchoge's strategy is at the moment. Of like, is he just going for a win at all 6 majors?
Yeah, I don't understand. There's nothing for him to be gained by, other than if he feels like he's in better shape than everyone else, then going for a time in inverted commas will kind of decimate the field, and there's not many people that are going to be able to keep up with him. So the later he leaves the faster paced bit, the more people are still going to be in contention and the more of a lottery it becomes for him. But, there's not many people that can keep up with him if he's going at 2:02, 2:03 pace. And it's quite dependent on, I think that year that Ryan Hall ran really fast, it was like a tailwind the whole way because it is in one direction broadly. So that's why it's so weather dependent. And then in recent years, there was the marathon where in the pros, at least, there was so many dropouts, people running in jackets, like running an elite marathon in rain jackets and hats and stuff because
because the weather was so bad.
Yeah, it was brutal freezing rain. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Hopefully it's not like that when we go out there.
No.
And then London Marathon now. Rick, out of everyone in this room, you're the only one that's run it. I'm running London as well this year.
That is surprising and incredible in the same statement.
So how did you find it when you ran it?
Absolutely ecstatic. One of the best things I've ever done. Ever. One of the best races ever. The best race I've ever run in. And it's just amazing.
We touched on it a few weeks ago, didn't we? When we talked about emotional moments in running, and I said that you'd call me as you finished or after you'd finished, like really like tearful actually about this experience that you'd had.
Yeah, I just because I think it's also because it's my city as well, and I think when you run in your own city, you're more passionate about it because you're running the streets that you always go to work on, you commute on, you see every day, you go out and so I think that adds to it. So I think it would be the same in anybody's city, I imagine, but then you've got London's an iconic place anyway.
Yeah,
I always find it interesting as well, like at the end of a marathon, and you've done quite a few recently, Sarah, like how do you feel about drinking wine after you finished a marathon? Do you think you can consume
I love that this is where you've taken
a fair bit of alcohol after a marathon? Because I was thinking, I'll have a couple of, a bottle of Pinot Grigio to celebrate.
A couple of bottles.
Bottle?
No, but then I couldn't drink. I just couldn't drink after I,
This is what I've learned.
Couldn't take it in.
Yeah, this is my biggest learning. And I actually spoke about this after I did Osaka. If you want a positive overall marathon experience that you can look back on fondly, be as selfish as possible post-race. Like that is, your diva moment is not before, it is very much after. And in order to enjoy a marathon, like after Osaka, I went full diva. No alcohol, because I just feel so... I don't know, I just feel... not necessarily clean. No, I feel like dirty, salty when I finish. I do it, but I don't... I've always wanted to be the type of person where I could have a table booked at a nice restaurant after a marathon. I just don't think I'm ever going to be that person.
So what type of person are you?
I am
what did being selfish mean?
I'm a hobble to the train station or whatever transport home I'm getting. I'm go via McDonald's. Had my
some quality recovery fodder.
Yeah, I just needed any carbohydrate would have been fine. Actually, after Amsterdam, I got my favourite post-race combination, which was sparkling water and bread.
Oh wow, you know how to live.
Yeah.
Whereas Rick's going straight in for a bottle of Pinot Grigio.
No, I just don't. I don't.
I felt amazing. I've never felt so alive. Actually, when I finished,
really,
I've never felt so alive. I felt ecstatic. when I finished the marathon in London. And it wasn't that I couldn't stay up and talk to people and, relive the experience of the day. It was just my body couldn't actually take in a beer. It couldn't take in that
for the first time ever.
For the first time ever. And I was just staring at it.
So
I still had a
confused.
nice night, and
So you did actually go out?
we had a gathering around our place. So we had
Had a house party.
Had a
Had a rave.
I felt fine.
I've been
but
to a few. I've been
didn't-
to a few gatherings. At your
Oh yeah,
house.
it got a bit loose, but just not me.
Yeah.
I was just sat on the sofa. So I went to the kind of official after party after Berlin.
Yeah.
And I would love to be the type of person that could just stand there, get some drinks in, relive it all.
You probably can.
I can't. My legs just won't let me.
Oh, so I mean, I'm trying desperately to insert myself into a conversation about completing marathons.
Yeah. Go on, Andy. What's your take on it?
But when I raced whatever distance it was, less than a marathon, just the mental and physical effort that went into it, albeit in a different type of energy systems and so on. Yeah, there would always be people going for drinks or partying afterwards, and I just not just because I'm boring and old and all the rest of it, I just couldn't do it. Like everything was to me was getting across that finish line, and then for whatever reason, my body almost wouldn't let me go nuts and have lots to drink or stay up late. I just was so exhausted. I wanted to go to bed. But then couldn't sleep because I was then wired from the adrenaline of it. So
it's a weird
contradiction.
one where you're especially after running a marathon, you'll just be so awake or wanting to talk about it. Whether it's gone well or not, you just will want to talk about it. But no, my diva moment was lying on my bed with my legs up against the wall for 3 hours.
And recording a podcast with us, actually.
I'm recording a podcast.
Yeah,
I still have my
dream.
legs up for that. Yeah, living the dream.
Yeah.
Love that.
Well, we should wrap up. We haven't spoken about Boston and London that much, I suppose. There's not much meaningful advice we've given people, but I am excited to watch both of them.
Yeah.
Two of the field, in both actually, I did look at the start list in the women's field in particular. I think both Boston and London have 9 elite women who've run under 220, which is a staggering number. And the fastest woman in Boston's run 2:14.58, and they've got the world record holder Bridget Koskay in London 2:14.02. And then the men's race at London as well, there's 4 of the 5 fastest marathon runners of all time, plus Mo Farah, potentially his last ever marathon. So loads of kind of interest that we're excited to report back on afterwards, I think.
Stay tuned. It's going to be exciting.
Yeah.
You're listening to the Running Channel podcast. We've covered quite a lot of news there. So for this week, we're just going to dive straight into your questions. Let's do it.
Don't forget podcast at therunningchannel.com if you want to get involved in question time next week. Denise has emailed us this week and she asks, what are your thoughts about running alone versus running with someone else or a group or a club? Are there benefits to it? Pros and cons? Do you guys have preferences? I think I want to run with someone, says Denise. My boyfriend runs, but unlike me, he's been running for years, so he runs twice as quick. Having said that, I couldn't get to run with him because I might be affecting his progress by asking him to slow down for me. So she keeps running on her own. Poor Denise. What do we think on this?
This is interesting because
it's a dilemma, I guess, because the most easy person to run with is your kind of loved ones, and if they're at a very different pace, it's quite difficult.
Yeah, so I've had this a few times where I've tried to run with friends who are starting out or a boyfriend who's starting out, and they always get really annoyed because they're like, "Oh, no, you're just."
Annoying?
I'm slowing you down.
Oh, right.
Oh yeah, and obviously they have to talk to me for
that's
half
the
an
hard
hour.
bit.
But yeah, I fully, and actually when I started running, it was with someone else. So my introduction to running was always with other people. And actually, I think that was so good. But I fully understand the guilt of if you're the slower person out of the two, then it can really feel, you can just play on your mind for the whole run of oh, am I slowing this person down?
Yeah, I think if you know them well enough and they're your friend, then I think that just have a conversation with them beforehand. I can only run at this pace. Are you happy to run with me? And then if they've signed up to that, then most people
that's on them. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, and mix it up. Go for runs on your own still, and then I would just say try and run with a group of people, and then you've got a much higher chance of meeting some cool people. I've met a lot of my really close friends through running. Spending that time doing shared experience is really powerful. So it's a motivator to get you out the door to do it in the first place. It's more likely to keep you coming back. It'll help you to see improvement because if they're a fraction quicker than you, then they'll help pull you along with them. Most running clubs that might have groups of 10 or 20 or 30 people go out, that might be intimidating, but it's more likely that you'll have someone to run with at your pace the more people that go. Safety in numbers, I suppose.
Yeah, definitely. Also, if you are worried about I don't know whether you're not fast enough. Like, one, don't worry about it. Also, if you do want to know, then just drop them a message beforehand, because everyone's always runners love talking about running. So they will be happy to talk about that. Or go along to a track session, because then you're running in circles. So
and chance to regroup between intervals.
Yeah. And it doesn't, I actually saw a really cool club the last time I was at the track who were doing a kind of boot camp run session. So everyone was running at different paces, because it depended. They were in the middle of the track doing like burpees, and then one person would go and do a lap. So it's a fun way of meeting people, but there isn't that kind of pressure on pace, I guess.
And bear in mind that if a friend or someone that you're running with might be a slightly more able runner than and would like to run a bit more quickly, then you can hold them back a little bit by letting them do the talking. Like that's a pretty standard thing, where you go out and that person can talk to you. They can vent their worries and put the world to rights, while you're kind of the world's best listener, because you can't talk because you're running a bit quicker.
Oh, I've done that many times. Especially on like marathon long runs, I've quite often rope someone in to cycle alongside me,
and they're just chatting away.
And then for if it's like a 30k run, for the last 5k, I'm like, I think once I even got someone to tell me about computer games.
Just talk to me. Just talk to me.
Computer games. I was like, tell me about that one.
But yeah, the short answer, Denise, is give it a go. Like, running clubs in particular are incredibly welcoming. And meeting someone go along to parkrun maybe, actually, if you live in the UK or somewhere that has a parkrun, and then you'll find people at a similar pace to you whilst you do the 5k. You can chat to them afterwards. That's a good way of meeting people.
Or Denise as well, buy some super shoes and make your boyfriend run barefoot, and that'll maybe equal you out a little bit.
Even it up.
Next up, Guillaume has emailed asking, as a runner from a hot climate, I tend to do my long runs early in the morning, sometimes even at 5 a.m. I grab a somewhat light breakfast, do my long run, eat something to recover, and then wait for lunch. I'm kind of worried about London's marathon late start time, which is about 10 a.m. Needless to say, I've never ran this late in the morning, and it's usually scorching hot here in Brazil. Are there any fueling strategies for before a race at this time? A bigger breakfast or maybe some brunch? I mean, 10 a.m., it's not that late, is it?
Yeah, I'm more excited about the fact that he's writing to us from Brazil.
Yeah,
very cool.
Brazil.
Hello.
Yeah, and just as you were talking, I was thinking about a whole bunch of stuff here. One is that I'm pretty sure, assuming he's not doing it remotely, like the virtual London Marathon, and therefore he's running.
No, he's coming. He's coming.
Yeah. So actually the time difference is going to help out in his favour, because I think right now, and it's going to change a little bit with various daylight savings and so on, but it's 4 hours. Rio's 4 hours behind London. So actually, he normally runs at 5 a.m. He's going to be running at 10 a.m. That's 5 hours. Yeah. So the time difference is going to do most of the shifting for him if he doesn't try to shift his body clock too much.
That's a good thought. That's very good.
But also, it's not going to be as hot in London as in Brazil.
Well, apart from every now and again, we have these scorching London marathons.
Yeah, but I think that's scorching relative to the UK.
It's also been raining for the last 130,000 days.
Days in Britain,
Roughly 130,000. Is that the Met Office report?
Yeah.
That's just my report of how soggy all of my runs have been.
Spring has been awful. Yeah, so far. So actually, it's probably going to be about 16 degrees, isn't it, Andy? So we'll probably be all right.
I think so. It does get up into the 20s sometimes, like you say, those years where it's rare. But I would say, if he's not worried about the weather, he's just worried about his body clock, then actually the time difference and the travel is going to take care of that. But yeah, I think we were doing some research for a video into carb loading and so on recently, and the kind of general advice was it is around 4 hours to have a carb heavy breakfast, but one that you're well practiced at kind of digesting around 4 hours before start time. So
6 a.m.
Yeah. So him being up and ready at like 5 or 6 a.m. would still be fine. Getting the kind of carbs in then, in a way that he's going to know his gut can manage, for example, because that's probably the biggest battle here. Getting up at 5 a.m. in order to properly fuel, then you'd be needing to have breakfast so early.
So it's not too early then. So
I think 10 a.m. is going to actually do him a massive favour here. I think in terms of the time difference plus actually giving yourself more time to go to bed, get up and have a proper breakfast. I think you're into a winner here.
Very best of luck as well.
Yes, amazing. Thanks for listening.
Thank you so much for listening to another Running Channel podcast. Please do go and leave us a review if you've enjoyed it. If you haven't, don't worry, there's another podcast you can go and find. And we'll see you next time. Goodbye.
See ya.